Horizons 1 is now departing. Our final destination today, the 21st century.
This is Horizons, the animated history. Horizons was an Omnimover attraction located in Epcot Center. Unlike the other pavilions of Future World, Horizons didn't just represent the future of one field. It was the future of every field. In fact, Horizons basically represented the entire purpose of Epcot, celebrating human achievements and innovation born from imagination. This ride was considered to be the sequel to the Carousel Progress and the ultimate vision of Epcot, embodying communication, energy, transportation, anatomy, along with man's relationship to the sea, land, and space. More on that one later. Not only did this ride depict the futures of the past and the futures of tomorrow, it contained technologies that truly were to be a huge part of our daily lives in the 21st century. From the hologram phone we now call Skype, to the important role of the microprocessor that is literally in every piece of technology you have. In the early planning phases, the pavilion was supposed to be called Century 3, highlighting and predicting the scientific advancements we would see as America entered its third century. The name was later changed to Future Probe, since international guests who visited wouldn't relate to an attraction at the same level, with the ride name being so exclusive to the United States. The phrase probe exuded a more health-themed attraction, which it wasn't. Disney and the pavilion's new sponsor, General Electric, decided to call the attraction Horizons. The plans for this attraction were previewed in 1979 and 1980, along with the other pavilions, but could not be built in time for opening day. Horizons opened on Epcot's first anniversary on October 1st, 1983. Horizons became an instant classic, the crown jewel of Epcot attractions. Not only did the attraction basically resemble the entire purpose of the park, but it was simply an awesome ride. First of all, you rarely had to wait to get on Horizons, and it definitely wasn't due to any shortage of eager guests. The ride vehicles of this attraction could seat 4 each, making this a very fast loading process with an hourly guest capacity almost equal to that of It's a Small World, and those boats seat a lot. Moving past general ride mechanics, Horizons was an attraction you could ride a dozen times and still be noticing new things. With so many subtle but memorable details, from the smell of orange groves in the desert farm to the interactive choose your own ending, these details make Horizons easily one of the most missed attractions in Disney history. If it was this awesome, how could it possibly go by the wayside? This story starts off like just about all ride closures do: loss of sponsorship. GE's 10-year sponsorship expired in 1993, and so begins one of the most bizarre ride closure stories in Disney history. In December of the following year, Horizons closed indefinitely, with no real warning or explanation. Then 1 year later, in December of 1995, the ride miraculously reopened, exactly as it was before. It reopened to provide at least some sort of attraction for guests to enjoy, as both the Universe of Energy and World of Motion were under extensive refurbishments. Horizons stayed open another 3 years, until January 1999, when Test Track officially opened to replace the World of Motion, and Horizons closed forever. Some say that the absence of GE as a financial backer forced Disney's hand into closing the ride, with no funding to refurbish the attraction. Another possible contributor to the destruction of Horizons was the building itself. Disney had always planned for the replacement attraction to be housed in the original ride building in an attempt to save money. Following the closure of Horizons, Disney discovered that the building's structure was at risk of collapsing in on itself. This is not far-fetched, as Horizons' 184-car Omnimover ride system, plus the 3-story steel building, were sure to be putting some major stresses on the former swampland they were built on. As has been suggested by the many steel girders driven into the ground following the demise of the building, some believe there had been a developing marshland sinkhole in the northeast corner of Horizons that escalated in severity throughout the late 90s. Upon Disney's realization that their aggressive attempt to save the building was ill-fated, the solution became to simply destroy not just Horizons the ride, but the building itself, and create a new attraction that would put less stress on the foundations. Over a year after its final and permanent closure, Disney started drumming up plans with Kim Pak, who was soon bought by HP, for a new attraction called Mission Space. There's that space pavilion we were talking about earlier. In March 2000, the ride building was emptied of all of its props, which can now be found in Disney parks and private Disney collections worldwide. Then the Omnimover vehicles were removed, followed by the building's demolition in July. The destruction of Horizons represented the lost spirit of Epcot. No longer was Epcot about hope, a better future, and a showcase for amazing technologies. Epcot had lost its way, but has it really? You've just seen an entire video on the history of one of the best rides Disney has ever created. The true spirit of Epcot lives on right here on the internet. As long as Horizons remains in the hearts, minds, and mouths of inspired people around the world, the real purpose of Epcot is not forgotten. Who knows what the future holds for Epcot? After all, Horizons' motto is, if we can dream it, we can do it. Thanks for watching. Have a magical day.
From all all of us, thanks for exploring Horizons. Now, please take small children by the hand and watch your step onto the moving belt. The belt and your vehicle are traveling at equal speed.